Everyone, welcome back to Summer Series. I'm Orla and today I'm joined by Timmy from the SpunOut team. Timmy, thanks so much for tuning in.
No, Arla, thanks for getting us on the call. Thank you.
Of course. So, Timmy, you are part of the SpunOut team. Tell us a little bit more about the organisation for people watching who don't know.
Cool, Arla. So for anyone who's unaware, okay, because I think we're a name that most young people in particular have heard.
For sure.
But we hear a lot of different things. Like we can often be identified as a whole rake of things, really. Okay, so in essence, we are Ireland's youth information website. Okay, that is essentially what we are. Okay, so when I mean information, I mean content online, okay, that really hits on every topic that impacts young people, okay, from health to education to employment. We really touch on every issue that impacts young people, really, okay, where other organizations might focus on one or two topics. Okay, we're kind of broad. So we wouldn't classify ourselves as expertise in any one topic, really. But what we are expertise is getting information that is relevant to young people, okay? And I suppose what makes us relevant is that young people underpin all of the information we have, okay? So that happens in one of two ways, okay? Young people either create the articles, okay, or they tell us what are the issues we should focus on, okay? And then our team go ahead and write then. So that's kind of, I suppose, the two core things that entail what we are.
Of course, and having that peer-to-peer, young people to young people, it's just so beneficial, and especially in this day and age, and being able to have a platform where you can go and just ask these questions and find out the things that everybody wants to know. And I know, particularly from looking at your website, you guys have a lot up about mental health, which is fantastic. I think especially in this day and age, coming out of COVID, there has been so much anxiousness almost going back into what we know as normal. And I think people are getting nervous at being in groups again and stuff like that. So how would you suggest, like, to combat this feeling of anxiousness, getting back out there into normal per se?
Probably going to maybe refer to two or three things, though. It's probably, I think, the first thing, if you're feeling that way, if you're feeling a little bit anxious, or if you want to take things slow, going back out there fully interacting with groups, I think the first thing to do is not criticize yourself for that.
Yeah.
Okay. And as in so often, it's not, I suppose, how we think or how we feel sometimes, or how we react to it, isn't it? And it's not to criticize or be harsh on ourselves. If you're someone that wants to take things slow, if you're someone who is a bit anxious about crowds, getting out there again, I think the best approach to go with that is that's absolutely fine, really, because I think being harsh on ourselves in this scenario is going to increase anxiety and just going to increase general tension. I think that is the first approach that I would advise young people to take. And the other one, I think, Orla, it's a question I would always ask, like, what is good for your well-being? Okay, I think that is a question that we all really should have clarity on.
Of course, I think we've all really learned a lesson to, like, slow down, mind yourself, put your mental health and your physical health first. And it's a big change going back out, being told that, we can't see everybody and now everything's back open and everybody's running out. So it's a massive step. When COVID hit, everything just went digital so quickly, from school to work, dance class, everything in between. And we're spending a lot of time on our laptops and on our phones, which in turn can be quite, damaging or stressful for your mental health. And it's important to take a step back from that. So how would you give, I suppose, advice or tips to unwind in the evening time after you've spent the day on your laptop in this new digital COVID era?
I think probably already go back to the other point I'm after making there, though, as well.
Yeah.
What are the well-being activities that you want to engage in?
Mm-hmm.
And what are the well-being activities that actually help your well-being? If we're clear on them, it definitely helps us unwind, chill out, and get away from. And I suppose, look, yes, you are right, like, everything has gone online, and that probably won't change very quick either. I would think we will continue to be more online than we previously had been.
Yeah, for sure.
So it is very easy for young people or anyone really to be very caught. You're always on. You're always online. You're always checking your work emails. You're always checking your school emails. That again reinforces what you're saying, I think, in terms of what are the activities that will help you de-stress after work, after school, after college. And you'd probably be surprised, Orla, there's still a high percentage of people there who are not really clear on what are the activities that works for them. Okay, like we're all told the general ones that work, like journaling, exercise, and so on, but I think it's incredibly specific, I think, and what works for me or works for you is not going to work for anyone else, really.
Yeah, there is often like an umbrella term almost given to anybody who's looking to improve like their mental health, their physical well-being. And it's like you said, like it's not a one size fits all. Everybody's different, and it's going to take a different avenue. So it's really exploring that. But I think one thing a lot of people have encountered, especially a younger generation, so to say, that it's that situation of a friend coming to you that's struggling with physical or mental well-being, and they're looking for help, and you maybe don't have the tools or the knowledge to help them in the way that they need. So what like tip would you give to somebody who's wanting to help their friend and wants to point them in the right direction but doesn't know where to start? Again,
that's a really good question, and it's a question, Orla, on there, like we know the top topics that readership on our site, like, and it is definitely a topic that you would come up regularly. Again, I'm not sure, Orla, if I know the specific answer for every scenario there.
Of course,
okay, but there's probably one or two things as a rule of thumb, like being there for the conversation is the first one, but it's probably the most important one as well. And don't underestimate that. People feel like they need to know every answer.
Yeah.
To have any conversation, and that's it's just too high of an expectation as well. Just being there, Orla, really, for the conversation, for the introduction. Like it could be the first time your friend has ever told anyone that they are struggling, really. So the other side to that is then if you're the person for the conversation, like trashing it out, maybe gaining a handle on what is the issue, and then if you gain that clarity, like the answers generally come what the best approach is then. Do you know what I'm saying? Like whether it's a specific type of psychiatrist, whether it's a GP, whoever it is, really, like they're it's kind of having the conversation in a calm, relaxed way. The answers will come from there generally, right? And just there's one other point. If you are in the space where you want to help a friend, like your own self-care then, Orla, is absolutely key. But it definitely becomes more important when there's a bit more stress, there's a bit more anxiety around as well. Okay.
Of course, yeah. And it's that whole concept of, okay, you might not have all the answers, but a problem shared is a problem halved. And just being the shoulder to cry on or the ear to listen to can do more than the person probably thinks at the end of the day. And I think, like we were bringing it back to, everybody's different, everybody's outlets and what's going to help them is different. And of course, Kouture is an exceptionally creative environment. And we've seen time and time again how creativity can, help de-stress people and help like lessen your anxiety and in different senses. But how in your experience have you seen creativity help with people's mental health, their physical well-being?
The arts and creativity is just another whole area, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I think it is really undervalued at times. It allows people to express themselves, isn't it? And I think humans, but young people in particular, we have a desire for expression, haven't we?
Of course, so you have to, yeah.
Some people do it through exercise, through sport, whatever. But the arts is how other people do it. And the other point, Orla, and again, I'm going to say it again. It brings people present, isn't it? Like when you're engaging in an artistic activity, you have to be present. And even if you don't feel like you're present, it's bringing you to a place where you are actually probably present, isn't it?
It's that platform again that just allows you to express yourself openly. And it doesn't, like you were saying yourself, it's not always as recognized when you hear of like the typical things to help with your mental health. The arts doesn't always come up, so it's great that, you know, to push that and to help people recognize that there is other paths, and it's not always going to the gym or whatever. It's a camaraderie. You're still meeting with a group of people that are like-minded and that are into the things that you're into as well, which is always going to boost your serotonin levels, I suppose. And
I'd probably say, Arl, as well, that your organization, well, you're combining two things, aren't you, really, as well? Because yes, young people have a desire for creativity, yeah, but they have a desire to do it in a very sustainable way as well, haven't
absolutely.
they? So, like, we know how sustainability, young people are driving it, absolutely. You know, so that's why I just do want to say, like, I do think your organization has a huge role to play, because it's combining two interests young people have, isn't it? Like, we want to be creative, we want to create things, but sustainability is top of the agenda for young people as well.
It's giving that outlet to make sustainability fun, you know, which is not something that it always has been shown to be. So it's a great platform for that. But also with, like, Kouture is a big competition at the end, and it can be stressful, of course, and pressure can build because the contestants are very passionate about what they're making, and, you know, they put a lot of time and pride into their piece. So of course it can get a bit stressful. So what tips would you give to our contestants this year who are finding themselves in stressful situations, and how to cope with them?
When we're over focused on the end result, it just kind of adds to stress, isn't it? You know what I mean? And it kind of also brings the idea that you have to win, or you have to come first, or if you don't win it, it's a failure. Do you know what I mean?
That's not what it's about at all.
But that's, and so I really think, and I know, and like, I play sports, so I know it's so easy to actually say this, but it's the most important thing you can do, I think, is to embrace and enjoy the journey, really, from having an idea, having a project, to the mini wins and the everyday steps. Yes. Okay. And that's just the main thing that I would recommend. And then Orla, the daily recommended, like, tips that you can do, like journaling, Orla, is one, actually keeping a journal from the start to the end of a project is just one of the most important daily tools. Like, writing down how you feel, how you think, is such a therapeutic thing to do. And it's actually one of the most underappreciated activities, I feel, Orla, really. So, like, that's one of the daily activities that I would recommend, but it needs to be underpinned by an approach. I'm going to focus on the process, and I'm kind of going to leave the end result kind of go, really.
Of course, it's all about it's the process, it's the memories you make along the way that are gonna make the finish what it is, of course. And I know we've touched on a lot of things here, and you've given some incredible tips and advice along the way. But if I had to ask you to summarize maybe your top 3 tips to help people just connect with their mental health, be aware of it, to improve it in some senses, what would your 3 things to remember about mental health be?
Kind of off the top of my head, but these are things I believe, kind of, anyway. So I'm going to start with number 3. I just think keeping a daily journal, or not even a daily, because I don't keep a daily, so I'm not going to preach to someone else to keep a daily. But I do keep a journal, and it's like it's your own psychologist, really, Orla. Like, writing your thoughts down. When you bring your thoughts from your head, that obviously our head can be just all over the place at times.
Of course.
Bringing it from your head to the paper can just gain clarity, really. Okay, and it's just, I would really believe it's something that we can call on the whole time, really. Probably number 2. This is probably just me as well. I do think when we help others, you know, it's kind of a really, I know it's cliche, but we help ourselves as well, really. You know, sometimes we can be too caught up in our own stuff, and I know our own stuff are really important as well. But kind of even volunteering, helping, doing daily favors, like, it's such a small thing, but it really does help your well-being, I feel, as well, you know. So, and then number 1, and it's kind of related to me, I suppose, well, and I would, because the experience I've had, I think, not to let your perceived your perceived weaknesses or your perceived imperfections hold you back from doing what you want to do. And I think that's a major. Too often we're caught up about what we don't do so well or what we are imperfect at. I think for people, it can hold them back from doing what they want to do at times. I think that is really sad. And I tell you, I mean, I've just learned, like, I can't hide the weakness I have. Like, I obviously have a stammer, and like, it's not, for example, like, if you were to ask me, or like 10 years ago, with a stutter, would I be speaking in front of audience, or would I be doing interviews here? Not a hope would I have been doing it, really. Do you know, I would have had the attitude, God, how could I do a job I love that involved speaking with a stammer? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, but for me, and it's just me, like, and I don't want to refer to my journey or make it too important, but I think sometimes you can relate your own story times, that overcoming the fear of judgment, or the fear of, oh, people will snigger, people will sneer, like, just overcoming the fear of all that, and actually accepting that, yes, I'm someone who has a stammer. I will always have a stammer. I don't have to speak perfect 100% fluency the whole time, but I can still speak. And I still have things that I would like to say. So for me, in my learning, I think actually being okay with weaknesses, imperfections, and just really working hard to not allow them hold you back really from what you want to do is probably one of the main well-being tips I would give, because I think only 1% of any general population have a stammer, but everyone has a weakness, or everyone has a vulnerability that kind of holds them back. And I just think everyone needs to work hard to prevent their vulnerabilities from holding them back, really, as well. Okay.
And it is that vulnerability that makes you who you are. You don't want to get rid of that. That makes you special, and it makes you who you are as well. And it is all about taking that leap and growing to not be so concerned about what everybody else thinks, and just do what you need to do for you. But that has been so insightful. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting to us.
No hassle, Arla. Thank you. Yeah.
Of course. And hopefully we'll hear from you again soon. So that's it for today, guys. We will chat again soon and be back very, very shortly. See you later.